My name is Beardy.
My name's Keni.
And we're going to be doing a different kind of campaign set for everybody. So what makes this campaign a little bit different than other ones is that it is typical campaigns are one DM and then 3 or 4 or 5 or however many players. It's very rare that you see a campaign that is one-on-one, and this campaign is not one of them. This campaign is 1-on-5, sort of. So the way that this campaign is going to work is that it is one player playing 5 characters, but not at the same time. So the idea is that there are 5 separate characters, each one with its own interests and goals and life, and their story is going to be intertwined with the other 4. And each branch of the story played by the player to kind of tell that overarching interweaving thing that will develop as we go. So the way we're going to handle character selection, though, is going to be left up to the dice gods.
So I roll now?
Yeah, go ahead and give me a 1d6, please.
Okay, that's a 2.
That is a 2. All right. Well, so the way this is going to work is that selected your character, and I will go ahead and start you off. So give me a moment to set the stage now that I know who you're running.
Okay.
And we'll get you going.
But I don't know who I'm running.
I think it'll be pretty apparent.
Okay.
So, you have walked for a couple of hours recently. Your legs are somewhat tired. And
I think I know who this is.
And you have finally arrived at a place that you've seen many times but have never had the courage, I guess is a way to put it, to enter. But today, of all days, you are just kind of tired, I guess.
Has it been a long day?
It's been a long day.
Yeah. Okay, I think I definitely know who this is. All right.
Are partially splattered in blood,
okay,
standing at the edge of a small town.
Assume I'm Pae'dor.
That is correct. You can go ahead and select Pae'dor.
I'm so happy I rolled what I did.
I just randomized them and had you roll, and you rolled Pae'dor, so.
Obviously, I sent out enough positive energy into the world saying, I want to play Pae'dor, and then the world was like, okay, here you go, mate.
I mean, you're gonna get to play them all eventually, so.
This is true, but I really wanted to play Pae'dor. I mean, we've talked about this, so that's table talk.
All right. Fair enough. Okay, so you find yourselves at the outskirt of interesting little village. It appears to be populated entirely by wood elves. They're going about their business, talking with each other, trading, crafting, what have you. And as you walk up to the town, there's sort of a hush as everyone sort of turns to look at this newcomer who's standing there. And would you describe what you look like?
So this character appears to be a wood elf. They kind of have the right skin color. Wood elves tend to have like a more brownish to tan skin, right?
Sure.
However, this character named Pae'dor, their skin's kind of blotchy in certain areas. Like, not all of the makeup of their skin looks right. And instead of having darker colored hair to respectfully go with their darker skin, they have white hair. They have bright red eyes that go along with this skull that they wear on top of their head. The skull itself has glowing stones of some makeup for the teeth and behind the eyes. And the skull itself actually is also adorned with some antlers. And the creature that's approaching all these people also is covered in lots and lots of fur. You can't really see their body under the fur itself. It's just every mix and match of furs you could imagine from a forest. Like bunnies, rabbits, squirrels. Bunnies and rabbits are the same thing. Deer, wolf. This person is wearing so many furs. And they themselves look as if they're a beast. I mean, after all, they're currently covered in blood as well.
So the assembled peoples sort of look over at you, and none of them are really speaking, and they're sort of looking at you as if they're trying to gauge your intent. One of the hunters steps forward and sort of like holds his arms out to his sides in like a calming gesture as he slowly walks toward you and says, "Hello there."
Hello. Pae'dor responds that way.
Well, it's good that you can talk.
Small.
He touches his chest and says, "I'm Ferrith. I live here. Who are you?"
Pae'dor. And Pae'dor is currently looking around at all the people and kind of blinking, but very much so still in a way directing their face towards this person talking to them the most, because of course someone's talking to them. They're scared. They're a little hunched over. They look like they're ready in case something bad happens.
This hunter will walk forward with his arms still out, and he crouches down a little bit to kind of get on your same level.
Yeah, Pae'dor
and
is
he's
kind
about
of 4'8", so they're tiny.
Yeah. So he kind of crouches down to get at eye level with you, and he's about 4 paces away from you, and he says, You can speak our tongue?
Yes, sort.
He looks you up and down, and I'm going to have him make a roll here. Are you hungry?
There was a vigorous nod.
This hunter is looking at you, and he says, Our people, we had stories about you. They called you the wolf that walks.
Wolf.
See, well, if you're hungry, here, he reaches into one of his bags at his side. He appears to be a wood elf male, somewhere middle-aged, maybe a little bit younger. A single bow is slung across his back. He has a dagger in his belt, and he has lots of belt pouches and things. He has leather boots and leather gauntlets with some of the fingers cut out so that he can have more dexterity when dealing with certain things. So,
just a question.
Yes.
Would Pae'dor be able to depict how old this person is?
I suppose not, since he doesn't really know too much about the way that wood elves live and age. So he might just look like a 2-leg, whatever they would consider a wood elf. So Ferrith is going to reach into one of his bags, and he's going to pull out a small piece of dried meat that's wrapped up in a cloth, and he's going to toss it a few paces that he is away, that it lands, or that you catch it. I'll leave that up to you.
I don't think Pae'dor would attempt to catch it. They'd probably want to sniff it out first, to be honest.
Okay. In that case, it lands on the ground in front of you.
So Pae'dor crouches down. They're on all fours, and they kind of look up at Ferrith, and then they get a little bit closer to the meat, and then they sniff it. They sniff it as much as a wolf would, pretty much. At least the gestures of one. Who knows if they actually have as strong of a smelling mechanism in their face.
Okay, well, give me a perception check, and I'll tell you what Pae'dor gets from this.
Okay. This is such a short list compared to Soul.
Yeah.
That's a 21, though.
An excellent roll, 21. All right, so Pae'dor, you smell this clump of meat wrapped up in cloth on the ground, and it smells like a kill, right? It smells like meat, but it's strangely dry, and it also smells of salt. But at this point, you're so hungry, you don't even really care.
Pae'dor puts it in their mouth, but they don't even, pick it up. They just go all in with their face.
Are you unwrapping it first, or are you eating it cloth and all?
Oh, I don't think they'd realize what the cloth is.
Okay.
I think they just try to get at it at first with their mouth, and then, claw at it.
Gotcha. Okay. So you end up sort of tearing the cloth apart with your mouth.
Yeah.
And start eating the meat inside. Well, you certainly were hungry then.
Is it hard to chew?
No, it's just dried rations. So think of it as like beef jerky.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to chew, in my opinion. I don't like jerky. But I'm sure Pae'dor would actually love this, to be honest. Flavor, what the fuck is that? So, Pae'dor's just eating the shit out of this jerky.
Yeah, it's like no meat that you've ever tasted before. It actually has some sort of coating or substance on it to give it some sort of strange flavor. It tastes almost like the wood fires that you can smell burning from the village sometime. So it tastes like smoke, which is very strange. You've never tasted smoke.
So, Pae'dor, I assume they're almost completely, if not fully finished with this jerky. They look up at Ferrith, and they look like they've calmed down a little bit. Because I think they were kind of wide-eyed and scared mostly when they first approached everyone. Thank.
He cracks a smile. It's quite all right, little one. It looks like you've had a rough time. Are you hurt?
So pretty much everyone's only seen Pae'dor's hands so far, since they've been covered in so many furs. That's kind of what they use to claw open the cloth. So I think for the first time, Pae'dor will put their arms out to where you can at least see the forearm area. And they'll show bite marks on their arms.
These are fresh bite marks?
Yeah.
Okay. In that case, I'm going to go ahead and present that as some damage onto Pae'dor.
Oh, that's completely fine.
So let me go ahead and do that. Okay, so we'll call that 5 points of damage out of Pae'dor's 12 hit points.
So tiny.
Such a tiny child. And Ferrith is going to say, well, that'd probably get you to a healer then.
Healer?
Ferrith nods and takes another step closer. It's all right. He holds out a hand toward you.
Pae'dor's arms retract back into their furs, and they kind of lean forward, and they look like they're sniffing him.
All right. He smells like leathered oil. Or, no, other way around. Oiled leather.
Oh, okay.
There's the words.
Leathered
There's
oil.
the words
Sexy.
Yeah, right?
Oiled leather. Still
He
kind
smells
of
like-
sexy.
Still kind of sexy. He smells like oiled leather, bird feathers, and fresh vegetation. Like he smells like grass. He has a very naturalistic smell about him.
Pae'dor will take a step back. They'll nod at him, but it's not just a normal nod. It's more of a upper body movement, almost a bow, because they don't exactly know how to do this correctly. This whole human interaction thing. Or people interaction? People. And
So I was going to say that was a specious
I'm
statement.
sorry. Anyways, Pae'dor will put their skull over their face and then try to nod again. Follow.
All right, then. He lets his hand back to his side. Well, come on. No one here will harm you. He walks backwards, never breaking view of you, as he sort of walks you backwards into the middle of town.
Pae'dor's following.
So you've now entered the center square of town. The people are definitely keeping their distance in general, aside from Ferrith, who's sort of appears to be acting as your guide. And he walks you to the middle of town where there's, a nice patch of green grass, and he'll sit down on it and sort of pat it to imply that it's comfortable.
Pae'dor will stare at him for a second and then just squat down really fast. And this just makes their furs expand so much more when they're sitting, so they just look like a blob of fur.
Kind of poofed out.
Yeah.
Okay. So he turns and he calls in a direction to the east. He calls out for someone. And a moment later, another person will arrive, another wood elf. This one is dressed in longer flowing clothes, and they're holding sort of a knotted staff. And they're approaching also very cautiously toward you.
Okay.
Ferrith looks at you and says, "This is one of our friends. He's going to help you. He's going to make those wounds go away. Do you understand?"
Friend?
Ferrith nods slowly. Friend.
Pae'dor will put out one of their arms, and with the other arm, they'll slowly lift up their skull.
Okay. This person in robes will move forward, and very quietly and gently, he's going to chant something, which is going to cause white light and energy to sort of suffuse his hands.
Okay.
And then he's going to reach out and he's going to touch your arm, the one that you have raised.
Okay.
All right. So he is going to cast Cure Light Wounds on you, and that is going to heal you for 7 hit points, which will be enough to remove all of your wounds. So all of your bite marks suddenly close and heal, and you suddenly feel alive and fine. Like your arms don't hurt to move anymore. And the blood flow has stopped completely.
Okay. So Pae'dor just looks like they're rubbing their forearms now in amazement. And they look up at the healer, and they look over at Ferrith really quick and then back at the healer, and they say, thank.
He will nod and say that back to you. Thank. And then he'll kind of back away and give you guys some space. So, Pae'dor, what brings you to our village today?
Pae'dor just looks sadly at Ferrith. Of course, their language is very minimal, so they're trying to figure out the best way to communicate with him. And they look around at the ground. Is the ground dirt right now? What season is it, would I know?
It's warm out.
Okay.
I mean, the forest that you've lived in never really gets all that cold.
Okay.
This part of the world seems to be spared the harsher elements. So it is warm, and the ground near you is grass. It is dry grass. It's a sunny day, and there's enough cut back from the forest here that there is sunlight reaching the ground here. So it's a warm spot in the town. So the grass here is warm and comfortable.
Okay. Pae'dor gestures to the skull on them. Family.
You're looking for your family?
Pae'dor shakes their head. Family hurt.
Your family's hurt.
They shake their head again and they seem a little more frustrated. And then they gesture to their arms.
Your family was attacked by wolves?
They shake their head again.
I'm sorry, little friend. I'm having a lot of trouble.
To me. They gesture to the wolf skull again. Family.
Your family... He's going to think about this. I'm going to let him roll a check here to try to figure this one out.
Okay.
To see if he can. Okay. Yeah, he's not the brightest. He's not the brightest. But, hey, he actually rolled really well. Okay. Your family are the wolves?
Wolf. Yes.
I see. And they're hurt? They're in trouble?
Pae'dor looks sadly again, and then they gesture to their arms. Hurt. Pae'dor.
Your family hurt you.
They nod.
He kind of thinks about that for a minute. Doesn't sound like a very nice family.
Hungry.
Do you want more meat?
Pae'dor.
He reaches into his pack and starts to pull out another set of rations.
Pae'dor starts to shake their head, but then they look like they're starting to drool.
This time, instead of tossing it to you, this time he hands it to you.
So Pae'dor will reach their face down and bite it out of his hands. It's gentle. It's a gentle bite. It's just,
okay.
That's how they're grabbing it.
So, does Pae'dor have any equipment of any kind, or is it just the furs?
I'm just gonna say they have their furs,
Mm-hmm.
and I think they have a stone dagger currently.
Okay, so the furs and like a stone knife.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So this elf is going to look you over as you're eating the second thing of rations, and he's going to say, "So, how long have you been out there? We've had your whole life." See, there have been whispers of the wolf that walks for years. Never actually seen you before till today, but I always hoped I'd catch a glimpse of the legend. You're a lot smaller in person, if you don't mind me saying. Sorry, he holds his hands up as in a gesture of apology. I didn't mean to offend.
It's fine. Hard to... And they gesture to their mouth.
Find it hard to talk? Okay, well, I'll try my best to understand without words then.
So after Pae'dor finishes eating, they gesture back to their skull. Family.
Yeah, your family.
Hungry. And they gesture back to their arm again.
And they bit you. I understand that.
Starve.
I see. They were starving? And then he kind of gestures to the blood all over your furs.
Sorry. And Pae'dor looks down at the ground.
As he realizes what you're saying, he also kind of becomes more solemn. That must have been hard.
Bad feel.
He nods.
And Pae'dor looks over at him, and then they look back at the ground. No home. And they look like they think for a second. Home. No home.
Well, I think that's not true at all. You see, he's going to gesture to his ears, and he's going to gesture to yours. He says, "Near as I can tell, your home is everywhere in these woods. Same as me. Same as anyone here. So this is your home." He taps the ground.
Pae'dor kind of nods to themselves. They're not always the smartest, but they're trying their goddamn best.
So, I'm a hunter. I go into the woods and I bring back game and trade it for things. I also take odd jobs from time to time to make sure things around here stay safe. Does that all make sense to you? Well,
they kind of put their fingers out a little bit and make a clawing gesture, and they look like they're smiling. Well, an attempt to smile.
Are you a hunter too, then?
They nod vigorously.
So you're a good hunter.
And then they pet some of their pelts. Prey.
And you did all that with a stone knife. He gestures to your knife.
And then Pae'dor makes scratchy, clawing gestures again. And then they gesture to their teeth.
All with a stone knife and your bare hands and teeth. He genuinely laughs. You are something, aren't you?
Pae'dor.
Yes. Suppose you are. So, he thinks for a moment. Would you like to stay here for a while?
Pae'dor looks around, and then they look at their hands, and then they look at Ferreth's hands, and they kind of reach out with their right hand to touch one of his. Mm-hmm. And they're looking at the skin next to each other mostly. Yeah.
And what is it like?
Well, Pae'dor's is blotchy. It's dark tan, but it's still blotchy.
Yeah.
And is Ferreth a light tan or white or what?
He's more of a lighter tan.
Okay.
So he's probably with the lighter skinned end of the spectrum when it comes to wood elves. So he's probably a bit unusually light. So he might actually have some high elf blood in him to some degree.
Interesting. That's
so
exciting.
He may have like a quarter or an eighth high elf.
Okay. And Pae'dor will kind of pet his skin, almost. They're pretty much feeling the texture compared to theirs. And they'll put their other hand on top of their hand and touch it as well. And then they retract their hands. And then they nod to him.
He grins and says, well, good. He slowly stands up and walks you over to a small house over in the Hunter's Ward.
Okay. Pae'dor follows, and I think whenever they're walking around, they put their skull back on. Mm-hmm. And it's almost like a very prideful walk that they're doing when they have it on.
All right. He takes you to his home on the Hunter's Ward side of town, and he has a modest little, basically it's a little 3-room house. It's very, very basic, but it's a structure, which is something more than I'm sure Pae'dor's ever lived in.
What's the floor makeup? Sorry to ask.
No, you're fine. The floor is actually, it's like wooden boards.
It's wooden. Okay. Okay. Pae'dor will kind of, if they've been left to their own devices to look around, they'll kind of slowly haunch up and kind of run their fingers against the grain of the wood. Mm-hmm. Oh.
So Ferreth will give you like a little tour of the house, and it's, like I said, it's very modest. It only has 3 rooms. It has like a kitchen. Okay. What?
I don't know. He owns a house.
I mean, it's a little house.
It's still a house.
In a little village.
I'm sad.
It's sad because sad for Pae'dor or sad for yourself?
Sad for myself.
Oh.
One day.
Someday.
Anyways, continue.
So it's basically like a common room, a bedroom, and a kitchen. Mm-hmm. And there's an outhouse outside.
Okay.
He shows you the bedroom has, it looks like there was a spot where there was like a bed for an animal.
Oh.
And give me another perception check.
Yes! I fucking love doing rolls. I don't know why, especially perception, but, you know. Oh, did I just nat 20? I got a 26!
Alright, you nat 20, and you smell that an old dog used to live here.
They growl.
But you can smell that it's because of your such a high perception roll. You're able to tell that not only did a dog used to live here, but the dog was old and it is now deceased. And you can see that there's still like a bed, a pretty decent sized pet bed on the ground.
Oh man.
That sat unoccupied for a while.
What else is in this room? Is it just that?
It's that and a normal bed, like a standard single bed. And then aside from that, there's like a chest of drawers and a wardrobe.
Okay.
The common room has like a longer table with some chairs, and then there's a mantle over top of a stone fireplace.
Interesting. Okay. So they're gonna look at Ferreth, trying to follow his lead in anything. Mm-hmm. But if he doesn't do anything, they're gonna go sit down in the dog bed.
Yeah, I figured. I mean, it's comfortable. It's very comfortable. It's maybe the most comfortable bed you've ever laid in.
I mean, it's better than a cave, probably.
It's much better than the cave. It's much drier, and it's warm. Closest thing to this is laying on top of your family when you would all sleep in a pile. So it sort of evokes a happy memory, which in turn might make you sad.
Oh, okay.
Just remembering back to when you would have those days where you would just have big piles of family laying around.
Pae'dor will start to whimper in the bed.
Is everything all right? I didn't expect to have anyone here. I can get another bed. It's just temporary, I promise.
Pae'dor shakes their head. Family, sad.
Wow. You can stay here as long as you need to.
Sure.
He nods. I have a good feeling about you.
Strong.
I don't doubt it.
Pae'dor will make
Tell
a
you what.
clawing motion in the air towards him.
Tell you what, you get some rest,
Hmm.
and tomorrow we'll go hunting.
Hunt. They look very happy about this idea.
All right, so basically some time is going to pass, and I'm not sure how comfortable you are with a montage. Are you comfortable with a montage?
I'm fine with a montage.
Okay, so over the next 2 weeks, Ferrith will spend time with you. He will take you out into the woods. He will try to talk with you, teach you various things about how wood elves live. He even ends up going and spending some of his money to buy you a bow. And he gets you a bow and some arrows and tries to teach you how to shoot.
Has Pae'dor become a decent enough learner in that aspect?
I mean, you tell me.
I think so.
I think that we'll leave that up to Pae'dor's stats.
Okay, that's true. What would be a good thing to... Do I roll for this? What do I do?
No. I mean, I say I'm going to leave it up to Pae'dor's stats, and Pae'dor's with their dexterity, they're a natural.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
like
I do have a 20 fucking
yeah, you've got a 20 fucking dexterity. So Pae'dor is very much a natural when it comes to using a bow.
Okay.
So much that Ferrith is really impressed with you.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, over the course of 2 weeks, you end up learning the ins and outs of how to fight with a bow and how wood elves hunt. After those 2 weeks are through, you guys return from a hunt successfully, and you find a posting in the middle of town. Now, what that is it's a thing where they write down something on a piece of dead tree.
Mm-hmm.
And those don't really make a lot of sense to you. You've seen Ferrith look at things like that before, but they've never really meant anything to you before.
Okay.
You have the sense that they must convey some kind of meaning, but if they're talking, you can't hear them. So you kind of put them out of your mind.
My sweet child.
So it must be something that only the other wood elves can hear.
Okay.
Because they look at these papers and then they know things.
That's so cute. Oh, I love them so much.
Maybe if you live here long enough, they'll talk to you too. But
so cute. Ah.
So Ferrith will look at this posting and he'll turn and say, "Well, how would you like to help me make a bit of money?"
So, how long has it been since we started living together?
It's been about 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so not a super great amount of learning how to speak, but I assume it's better than 1 words.
It's a bit better than 1 word. And I don't know if he's managed to get you to a bath or not. I'll leave that up to you. But if so, he's like tried to like scrub you down.
I don't think yet.
Okay.
That's gonna take some more trust.
That's fine.
And also Pae'dor's probably like, smell fine.
Yeah. Smell like Pae'dor.
So, what did he ask me?
He asked if you wanted to help him make some money.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You don't have to call me that.
It's fun.
Well, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
So, he gestures to the posting. It says there's a bandit in the area, one that has a bounty. And if we kill this bad person, this bandit, then we can get some money for it and use that money to buy ourselves some nice things, like lots of sweets.
Pae'dor cracks their knuckles happily. Kill bad person.
Mm-hmm.
Am good with that. Yes.
I agree. So let's. He pats the deer that's slung over his back, the small deer. It's like, let's get this sold and then head back out, shall we?
Of course.
So he goes and trades it for a few coins and then meets you back in the center of town. So you've gathered all of your items and are prepared to venture out into the woods again, this time to search for a bandit. So he puts you on point and lets you do the tracking. He says that the bandit should be somewhere to the south.
Okay.
So I'm going to go ahead and pull up another map here.
Okay. Oh my god, there's another map!
There's a lot of maps.
Ow! I'm so excited.
All right, so this is a map of the Emerald Forest. Over those 2 weeks, Ferrith has tried to explain to you kind of a little bit about the way the world works, about the lay of the land. And the two of you live in the northwest part of the Emerald Forest in a little village called Philion.
Okay.
And he says that the bandit has made their camp somewhere to the south of town. So if you would like to search the area,
yes,
that would be a survival check.
Okay. That was a 16.
16 is successful. Okay. So you are going south, and as you do, the two of you come across a scene. You all right?
I have so much anticipation. I'm so excited.
Okay. So what you come across is a section of woods, and you and Ferrith enter the map on the north side as you're traveling south. And I would like you to make another perception check, please.
Okay, I can do that. I'm successful at those things. That's a 17.
A 17. Okay. As you approach this area, you see another person crouched behind a tree with a bow out. This person is to the south of you.
Okay.
And they appear to be looking to the southwest, and they don't notice you. Appears to be another wood elf wielding another longbow, so it could be another hunter.
But she's adorned with feathers?
Yeah, some feathers on her shoulders, and you don't recognize her from either from this far away or from behind, but it doesn't look like anyone you've ever seen in town before. Not that you've really gotten to know very many people.
Yeah, Pae'dor's been pretty reclusive. They've probably only really talked to Ferrith. They're probably still one-words towards everyone else. So Ferrith is going to look to you, and he's going to make a silence gesture as he's going to start moving forward slowly. So Pae'dor's going to quietly follow near Ferrith.
Okay. So the two of you move forward along a sort of a raised area of grass to move sort of up behind this other hunter. And I'm going to have Ferrith make a stealth check. Okay. And if you would like to make a stealth check as well.
Yes.
Excellent.
Yeah, that's a 22. I think I'm good.
Okay. So the two of you are able to sneak up with no problem and get right behind this other hunter. Ferrith moves right up behind them, and it looks like you do too. Okay. So getting right up behind this person, you sort of peer past them and you see what they're looking at. You see in the clearing to the southwest 3 large boars. They're rooting around and digging in the grass and dirt, probably foraging for food. It appears that this hunter is looking for the proper opportunity because they have an arrow like resting on their bow, and they're just ready to pull back and fire when they get an opportunity, and they're sort of waiting for the right time.
Okay.
The two of you manage to walk right up to this hunter, and Ferrith will lean forward and kind of like go, psst. To which point the other hunter is startled, and she turns around and sees the two of you. She stifles a laugh almost.
What?
And she's like, life flashed before my eyes there for a minute. Guess I should have been a bit more cautious. Well, she looks at the two of you. How would you care for some boar meat?
Pae'dor puts their mask down. Their mask, skull, whatever we want to call it. Yes.
Ferrith looks to you, says, well, what do you think, little one?
Is good. Want fur, too.
Fair enough. My friend here drives a hard bargain.
Pae'dor kind of looks away bashfully, actually, when they say that.
We'll help you for 2 of the beasts, hides and all. The other hunter looks a little bit miffed at this and says, fine. 2 for you and 1 for me. Ferrith will smile and says, good. Then let's get into position then, shall we? He looks to you and nods.
Pae'dor has a very mischievous smile and nods back.
All right, so Ferrith is going to move himself to the west about 30 feet, and he's going to take position behind some shrubs. He kind of like gestures for you to also find a different spot.
Okay, so this is my first time playing a ranger. So
yeah, they shoot things with bows.
Yes, I shoot things with bows. Thanks. So helpful.
You're welcome. I know.
Yeah. Does it matter the distance for how far I shoot since I have a longbow, or is it still like 30 feet?
So the longbow is going to have a significant range. Longbow has a range of 100 feet. That's what's considered what's called the first range increment. So anything beyond that, like 100 feet, you take no penalty. 101 to 200 feet, you take a -2 to the attack.
Okay.
201 feet to 300 feet, you take a -4 to the attack. So every 100 feet out, it's another -2. So it's a very, very long range weapon. So yeah, you're well within range.
Okay.
Now, if you're within 30 feet, I believe you have point blank shot.
Yes.
So if you're within 30 feet, you do get a bonus +1 to hit and +1 to damage.
I don't want to get too close at level 1, so Pae'dor is actually gonna climb up. I think this is a tree. Is this a tree? I'm gonna say it's a tree.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead and give me a climb check, please.
Oh boy! Oh, that was a nat 20, so damn on
another
the
nat
haters.
20. Apparently, streaming is your lucky charm. So you climb up the tree. You scramble up it with no problem.
Okay.
Because you're up in the tree, that's actually going to give you a bonus to attack.
Fuck yeah!
So you're going to get an additional +1 for your first attack. Well,
Okay.
actually, sorry, for all of your attacks. So if you're in position, Ferrith is kind of like watching you to take the first shot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll initiative, and then I'm going to set you and your friends as the top of the initiative order.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll start you off, and this will be a surprise round. You'll get to go twice before the boars get to do anything.
Holla! Okay, cool. Alright, so I'm not close enough to do point-blank shot, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But I can shoot with my longbow.
Since you're firing at these guys and they don't know you're there, they're going to be considered flat-footed.
Yeah, Pae'dor is the best. Okay, I will attack the boar closest to me, which would be boar 1. It's the northmost one.
Okay.
Alright. Oh, it's a 23. That's not bad.
That's a 23. That's a definite hit. Go ahead and roll damage against boar number 1.
Okay. This is just a 2.
All right, you rolled a 2 on your d8. Do 2 damage to the boar. At that point, the 2 hunters are also going to fire. Flat-footed, boar 1. Okay, it's going to hit. And she rolls max damage. And then Ferrith will also fire at that same boar. He rolls a 19, which
Holy shit.
it hits.
Okay.
And he's going to roll damage. And he does 6 points of damage to the boar. The
It's
boar
almost dead.
is almost dead. It's critically injured. That's going to be the end of the surprise round. So now the actual combat starts.
It's my turn!
And it's your turn again, yes.
Alright, I'm gonna try to hit this boar again with my longbow. Same boar,
Okay.
because I want to take it down.
Okay.
That was a 22.
A 22 will hit. Go ahead and roll damage.
Okay.
7. Excellent.
That's a lot
Right.
better than the last one.
It's a lot better than a 2. Okay, so you strike the boar, and that arrow is enough that it collapses to the ground and is now bleeding out.
Pae'dor kind of pokes their head out when they do that to look for
Mhm.
like an approving look from Ferrith.
You can see that he has a smile fixed on his face, as he typically does whenever he's hunting.
I'll count it as my own win.
All right, so the other hunter is going to fire and hit and deal 8 points of damage. And then Ferrith will fire at the other boar, and his shot will go wide.
Oof.
All right, so the boars are going to go. First one is going to move up. So they are quite fast, and the problem is, though, they don't know where you guys are. So the first one's going to move up to the north to try to find you all, and he's going to make a perception check to try to find you all. And he is not going to succeed, so he's going to move up another 20 feet and end his turn.
Okay.
Other boar is going to make a perception check to try to figure out where you are. He's also going to fail. He's going to move up 40 feet to get closer to the people attacking him. And he's going to make another perception check now that he's closer, fail again, and move up another 20 feet and end his turn. All right, that takes us back to Pae'dor.
Alright, I'm going to use my point blank shot to hit
Okay.
the wounded boar that's near me.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay, that was a 25.
25 will hit. Go ahead and roll damage.
I want to kill another one. Please. Oh, that's just a 2. That's not gonna kill him.
All right, so that's a 3 with your point blank shot, which takes us to the other hunter. She's going to fire at boar number 3, and she is going to miss. That takes us to Ferrith, who, seeing that they're right on top of him, he is going to change his weapons. He's going to drop his bow, and he's going to pull out his trusty rapier. He's going to make an attack against boar number 3,
A rapier, how fancy.
Mhm. which is actually going to critically hit.
Oh!
So he reaches out from the bush, like he steps out, and with his opening slash, he is going to...
Hot.
Let's see, main tear doesn't work. The attack is going to grant him momentum, which means all of his attacks in the following round will be at a +2 bonus.
Ooh.
Going to be enough to drop the boar.
Oh, cool! Yay! It's dead.
So, alright, so he steps out from the ground, and he is going to slash the boar. It is going to drop to the ground and bleed out, and that's going to be his turn. So boar number 2 is the only one left. It definitely sees Ferrith now, so it's going to move up, and it's going to attack. It's going to try to gore him with his tusk, and it's going to roll a 1. So he's going to see if he confirms his critical miss. He doesn't. He rolls a 19 on his second.
Damn.
So he misses. That's going to take us back
battle.
to Pae'dor.
Back to Pae'dor.
Now, Pae'dor, that boar is in melee now with Ferrith, which means any attack against him is going to be at a -4 penalty
Okay.
because you don't have precise shot.
That's okay, I'm level 1.
Yeah. So if you're going to shoot the boar again, you're going to want to give yourself a -3 modifier.
Ooh,
Well,
that's a 6.
You were bound to roll low eventually. So we'll say that because you definitely did not want to hit Ferrith, you shot wide.
Oh,
All right.
Sweet little Pae'dor.
So the other hunter is going to fire at the boar, hit, and deal 5 points of damage. And Ferrith is going to attack with the rapier, hit, and deal... Wow, he is just rolling terribly on his damage rolls. A 1,
Oof.
dealing 2 points of damage to the boar.
Okay.
All right. Boar's up, and it's going to try to gore him again. He's going to gore, and it's going to be very, very close, but Ferrith is going to step out of the way just at the last second.
Awesome.
Which takes us back to Pae'dor,
Me.
round 4.
It's your boy.
That's fine.
Okay.
Okay.
That's an 18.
An 18 hits.
Yay!
So go ahead and roll damage.
Ooh, it's a 3 for damage.
3 points of damage is still damage, so there you go. All right, the other 2 hunters are going to fire, and the other hunter rolls a 1. Let's see if that confirms.
Oh god.
It does not confirm.
Okay.
All right, and Ferrith is going to attack with the rapier, and it looks like it's a critical threat. Does not confirm. And he rolls another 1 for his damage. Absolutely amazing. All right, so Ferrith cannot roll that rapier above a 1, apparently. So the boar is going to try to gore him. This time it does catch him, finally, and it's going to strike him for 11 points of damage, which is a really bad gore, I should say. So it gores him to the point where he looks bad. He is at 0 hit points currently. All right, Pae'dor.
I'll still be trying my best here. Oh god, no, that doesn't hit. That was a 6.
That's another 2. That's gonna miss.
I'm just glad it's
All right.
not a 1. Oh, think if I killed my only friend. Oh god.
Oh my god.
Pae'dor doesn't need more of this.
I just keep rolling critical threats that don't confirm, because that's what this person just rolled again. But it hits, so the damage comes out to 5 points of damage, heavily wounding the boar. And Ferrith is disabled. If he takes any action, it's going to put him at -1.
Oh, Jesus.
But he sees no other choice, so he is going to use his rapier. He is going to hit, and he's going to roll 3 damage, which drops the boar, but also does 1 point of damage to him, which puts him on the ground as well. Yes, he is now down.
Are we unlocked?
No, it's the next round. Since he's still bleeding, I'm going to count time.
Oh, no.
So you're up in the tree, and Ferrith has just dropped.
Oh, shit! Me
So
as
what
a
would you like to do?
person! God damn it! Shit. Okay. I have nothing for healing, so that's great. Pae'dor's gonna jump down and get right up to Ferrith.
Do you want to climb down, acrobatics down, or just jump down?
Oh, let me
'cause
see
just
what's the
jumping
best
down-
idea.
Okay, because if you were to just jump down, you would take 1d6 points of damage from falling. But if you were to try to acrobatics or climb, you would be able to negate that.
I'll try to acrobatics.
Okay.
Ooh, that's an 8.
No. Okay, so you fall out of a tree, and you take 2 points of damage.
That's okay. That's better than...
Right. So you land hard and kind of hurt your legs a little bit, but you don't even feel the pain right now.
They run over and they try to put pressure on the bleeding areas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's
Because
been
all
gored.
I know is first aid.
He's been gored in this sort of in the stomach, so he's got a pretty nasty looking hole that's bleeding.
Okay, Pae'dor's probably gonna take the ends of their giant pelt cloak thing and use that to add pressure. And then they look back at the other wood elf and they whimper.
Alright, so the other wood elf is going to move over, and as she is moving over, she's putting away her weapon and she's taking out a vial of red liquid. She pulls the stopper out with her teeth, and as she gets next to Ferrith, she upends it and pours about half of it into his wound and the other half into his mouth.
Pae'dor's just looking wide-eyed at everything. Just like, what the fuck is happening?
Alright, so immediately you notice the wounds start to close slightly, and the bleeding has stopped. I'm going to go ahead and unlock tokens. Ferrith, his eyes open, and he looks up. He's like, oh, that was a bit embarrassing.
Pae'dor... They reach their arm out and try to attempt what they think is a hug, but it's very awkward.
Ferrith will definitely scratch the top of your head. Be like, it's all right, little one. Takes more than that to kill old me. He nods thanks to the other hunter. Well, I suppose that was interesting enough that we owe names to each other. I'm Ferrith. This is Pae'dor.
Pae'dor.
The other hunter nods. She introduces herself as Ailery.
Oh. Pae'dor looks frustrated. They've settled with a shortened version.
All right. So at this point, they're going to go ahead and start stripping the corpses of the boars. So you each go to one. Ailery goes to boar number 1. Ferrith is going to go to boar number 2 that gored him, and that leaves you with boar number 3. So what they're going to do is they're each going to roll a survival check to field dress the body. And this is going to determine the quality of the meat and the quality of the hide. So go ahead with a survival check whenever you're ready.
Okay. That's a 14.
Okay, a 14's pretty good. It's not great. You managed to get, using your knife, you managed to get the, which, by the way, your knife has been replaced with a proper dagger at this point.
Holy
to reflect
shit.
what's on. What?
That's amazing.
Well, that's just to reflect what's actually on your character.
This is true, but it's still exciting. It feels like development.
Well, it was a 2-week montage.
It was a great montage.
To make you part of the Wood Elf Society. So you take out your dagger and you field dress the body, and you manage to pull a pretty decent job of cutting the hide away and getting everything proper. And within a few minutes, you have gotten yourself a boar hide and quite a bit of boar meat. And the other hunters have done the same.
Pae'dor is happily petting their new pelt.
Okay. So on your character sheet, I'm going to go ahead and add boar pelt onto it. It's going to weigh, say, 5 pounds. All right. So Ferrith will gather all the meat from both bodies together, as well as the pelt he's cut from his boar, and Ailery will take her kill. And the three of you will end up meeting back together here. I'll go ahead and remove the boars off the field. Ferrith is still a little bit hurt, and he doesn't have any of those fancy healing potions that Ailery had. And in fact, Ailery says that was her only one.
Great.
So he's no longer, since he's a little bit injured, he's no longer very confident the two of you can go and take care of this bandit. So he says, well, rather than calling it a loss, he gestures over, nods his head toward Ailery while still looking at you and says, what do you think?
Strong.
He nods. Okay. He explains the situation to the other hunter, explains the bounty, and if it would be split 3 ways, it's still a fair amount of money. She agrees to take a third of the profit, and the 3 of you will continue on. So, I'm going to go back to the forest map.
Okay.
And I would like you to make another survival check.
I can do that.
To attempt to track down this bandit.
Let's see. That's a 21.
It's an excellent roll. All right. So what you have discovered is, as you were traveling, you find some footprints. And the first thing you notice is that these footprints are larger than any wood elves you've ever seen. The footprints are also far too heavy and clumsy in a way. Like wood elf footprints and tracks tend to be uniform and graceful. They tend to glide as they walk. These are much more impactful on the ground. And you notice that it's not just the one set of footprints either. There's a couple of other sets of tracks with that one that are much smaller. Their feet, they're not like animal paw prints. They're feet, but they're much smaller than the one that you're tracking easily. So every so often as you're tracking these heavier footprints, you can see 1 or 2 sets of these smaller feet. So it means whatever this bandit is, he has friends.
Okay. Would I be able to... No, I don't think Pae'dor would. Never mind.
Would Pae'dor know what these are, you're asking?
Yeah, I was going to ask that, but I don't know.
I mean, you give me if you had knowledge to engineering, I would give you that. Or if you want to make another survival check, I'll let you know if you have at least the concept of what these could be.
I'll make a survival check. Oh, that's a nat 1. Hi there, 8.
All right. Well, in that case, you have no idea. But it's one big guy and a couple small guys, for whatever that's worth.
Okay.
All right. So as you travel around, you follow these tracks, and they eventually come to what you can tell is some sort of camp off in the distance.
Okay.
So the 3 of you immediately hush and quietly creep up. And what you find is a camp that has some smoke coming out of it. You smell burning meat and a kind of a weird, musky, greasy smell hanging in the air. Make a perception check as you approach.
Oh, hell yeah. Of course I'll make a perception check. That's a 19.
As you approach, not only do you smell this greasy, burning smell in the air, but you're also able to hear the chatter. You hear this weird language that you've never heard before, but it sounds kind of guttural and jabbering.
Oh, okay.
So whatever these are, they're definitely not wood elves. And as you approach, you are able to finally get a shot at what they are. What you see on the outskirts of this little camp, you see these strange, stocky little creatures with green skin. Both of them are holding these little tiny bows, these little short bows. They have wicked-looking arrows and quivers on their backs, and they're kind of like jabbering at each other as they're looking back and forth over the field to the south. It appears none of them have noticed you.
Can I tell you something?
What's up?
This is going to be my first ever goblin fight, and I'm so excited. Oh my god.
I'm glad I could pop your goblin cherry.
Please never say that ever again. I mean, since you did, you can't.
I can't unsay it, and I knew it was a mistake before I said it. But I did it anyway.
Oh
because
god!
I did it for the lulz!
No! Why? Okay.
So you see two goblin sentries. They're standing up on this wall. This crappy, like, makeshift spike wooden wall. There's these two platforms there, and there's no actual gate. There's just kind of a gap letting someone into this little camp. And it's built into a stand of trees as well, so it's relatively obscured from the northeast and west. It's only plainly visible from the south. And since you approached from the southwest, you get a good shot of it as you approach. So you're luckily able to notice them. So I would like you to make a stealth check.
You got
I'll
it.
have them make the same.
Oh, thank god, that's a 25.
Okay, 25. All right, so you approach, and you can get pretty close without being detected. So what is Pae'dor's plan for attacking this fort?
Okay, so I think I'm going to try to climb up in another tree and shoot from there.
Okay.
Sound savvy?
Sounds savvy to me.
Alright, I'm going to try to climb up in the tree that's a bit to my northeast.
Okay.
Yes.
Go ahead and give me a climb check.
Oh yeah, I will. That's a 7.
Okay, so you try to climb up the tree, but you're unable to.
Okay.
You can't quite get a purchase on it, and it's mostly because you think you're trying to also not make a lot of noise. So you manage to scramble up half the tree trunk and you slide back down. Make another stealth check, and then another climb check.
Okay, that's a 21 for my stealth.
Mm-hmm.
And then a 16 for
16.
my climb.
Okay, you climb up the tree with no problem that time, and still manage to stay undetected. So you look to your two companions, and you notice that you're all three now up in trees, which is going to not grant you a bonus against these guys on the towers, because they're still roughly at the same height you are.
Yeah.
But anyone on the ground, you would get a +1 against.
Okay.
Ferrith looks to you to begin the fight.
Okay. I'm going to start with Goblin 1, since that's closest to Ferrith, and,
Okay.
you know, the less damage he can take, the better.
Mm-hmm.
So, let's drop that on Goblin 1. Ooh, a 16?
A 16 will hit. Go ahead and roll damage against Goblin number 1.
Okay, Goblin number 1.
Max
That's an
damage. All right, you strike, and your arrow strikes him dead center mass, right in the chest.
8. Ooh.
He's going to fly backwards 5 feet, right off the tower, and land on the ground.
Cool.
So we're going to roll initiatives, and we're going to give you guys a surprise round. So Ferrith's surprise round is up. He is going to fire at the goblin further away from himself, the only other target he can see. And he is going to miss, and that's going to take us to Aelry, who's going to fire at the same goblin, also the only target you can see. And Aelry's going to roll a nat 1.
Oh, great.
Does it confirm? It do!
Oh, great. So
Your new friend has just rolled a nat 1
Is
and
she gonna
confirmed
hit
it.
me?
So let's see what happens.
Oh god, I'm so itchy.
Oh god.
No, don't say it like...
It literally is friendly fire. I pulled friendly fire.
Damn it!
52 cards on this deck, and I pulled friendly fire.
Oh! No! My baby!
So let's see. It says it hits the closest target. You're
Oh,
both
no.
20 feet away, but the attack was right there. So the only thing that would make sense is that it went wide somehow and hit Pae'dor.
Yeah.
So I'm going to roll the damage, and it was pretty minimal, all things considered. So she hits you for 3. The arrow goes wide and strikes you in the back of your leg. It's shallow, but it definitely hit you. She looks mortified.
Yeah, I'm there with you, bitch.
All right, Pae'dor, you're up.
There's like a very quick glare back and then a more adjusted skull down. Then they turn to go and hit the goblin on the other tower.
Alright.
Alright. That's an 8.
Wow, you guys just cannot hit that guy. Okay, that's gonna miss. And that's gonna take us to the goblin's turn. So the first guy is gonna pop out. He's going to walk out from inside the fort, where he's now visible to you. He's on the ground, and he is carrying a short sword in his hands. He's looking for targets. Gonna make a perception check on his way out here. He ain't gonna see shit. Goblin 3, however, has got his bow out, and he saw where those shots have been coming from, so he's going to fire back. He is going to fire back with his short bow at Pae'dor, and he is going to miss.
Okay.
All right, Ferrith is up. Ferrith is going to fire at the closer target with a +1 since he's on the ground, and he is going to hit. He is going to deal 2 points of damage, minimum from him, to the goblin. That's going to take us to another target. Okay. Padding up behind the goblin is going to be another creature. This one looks sort of like a dog, but it also looks like as if a dog and a rat had crossbred somehow.
Ew.
It's the size of a medium dog, but it's basically hairless. It has a rat-like tail, and it has large rodent-like teeth. You have never seen the creature quite like this before.
Gross.
But it pads up next to the goblin and growling and slobbering in anticipation of biting someone. Right. Ailri's up. She is going to fire at the goblin with the bow, tower there, and miss again. Pae'dor, bringing up the bottom of the order.
Alright, I'm gonna try to hit the goblin that's on the ground so I can get that extra bonus anyways.
Mm-hmm.
Oh great, that's another 2!
Another 2.
Whiff.
Whiff. Alright, that takes us to the beginning of round 3. Goblin 1 is down. Goblin 2 is going to see where that shot came from and start to move over to attack. So he's going to double move, and he's going to get to the base of the tree that you're at. Goblin 3 is going to fire its bow at you and miss. Ferrith is going to fire at Goblin with the bow and hit, deal 3 points of damage.
He's not dead yet.
And then stepping out from the camp is a different target. This guy appears to be much larger than the goblin. He's about twice the size of a goblin. He's actually about man-sized. And instead of having, like, green skin, his skin is more of an orangey tan colored. He has a goblinoid, or at least goblin-esque features to him, but he definitely seems like he's much more calm and calculating than a typical goblin. Whereas a goblin's sort of feral-looking in the way that they move and act. This guy definitely seems more disciplined.
Is he more put together than Pae'dor?
Yes.
Oh my god!
He steps out and he's looking around, and you can tell that he has a longsword slung at his hip, and he's holding a longbow in his hands.
Oh shit.
Alright, Goblin Dog is going to go up next, and it's going to rush over to the bottom of the tree that you're at. He's going to, like, stand up on his hind legs and put his front legs up on the tree, so he's looking straight up at you, and he's barking. Alright?
Pae'dor's gonna growl in response towards it then.
Alright, Ellery is going to fire at the goblin with a bow and hit and deal 4 points of damage, killing the goblin.
Oh, thank god.
So that takes us to Pae'dor. You've got a goblin with a sword at the bottom of the tree, a goblin dog at the bottom of the tree, and a hobgoblin at the entrance to the camp.
Well, I'm gonna fucking use point blank shot then.
Alright.
And longbow, don't fail me now. I'm gonna try to kill this goblin.
Hey, 26.
Okay.
Alright, go ahead and roll damage.
That was a 5.
That's enough to drop him.
Oh!
Alright, you fired the arrow down, it strikes him right in the head, killing him instantly. Alright, Goblin 1's down, Goblin 2's down, Goblin 3's down, Ferrith is up, and your friend is going to take a shot at the Goblin Dog. So he's going to get a +1 to hit, a +1 to damage. So here we go.
Come on, buddy.
And he rolls a nat 1! Doesn't confirm. Okay.
Okay.
Alright, the Hobgoblin is going to move out a little bit closer, and he is going to pull out his longbow, and he's going to take a shot at you. He is going to fire, and it is going to come an inch from you. It whips, like, past your ear, and you can feel the wind of the arrow. Alright, Goblin Dog continues barking furiously, as it's slobbering and spitting as it does.
Pae'dor spits at him.
Ailri's up, and she has a decent shot at the Hobgoblin, so she's going to take a shot at him. She rolls a nat 20, and doesn't confirm.
Ah, man!
She hits for 3 damage.
What?
Pae'dor.
Bullshit. Fucking A. Whatever. I'm gonna shoot at this dumb dog.
Alright.
I gotta dominate this fucking 16.
16 hits.
Okay. Gotta assert my dominance.
Okay, you do 5 damage to the Goblin Dog and heavily injure it.
Ooh.
Ferrith is up, and he's going to once again take a shot at the Goblin, or he's going to shoot at the Hobgoblin, which is now the only real threat on the board. And he hits and deals 7 damage,
Nice.
heavily injuring the Hobgoblin. Hobgoblin's going to fire back at Ferrith.
Oh shit.
Misses.
Oh, thank God.
Goblin Dog can't attack. Takes us to Aelry, who's going to fire at the Hobgoblin. Hits and deals 5 damage. The Hobgoblin is critically injured. Pae'dor, you're up.
Well, since the dog can't really do anything to me, and I was just trying to assert my dominance, I think I'll try to hit the Hobgoblin, because I think he's 30 feet away from me, so I can use point-blank shot, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
23. That hits.
Nice.
Go ahead and roll damage.
Please let me kill him. Please let me kill him. That was a 2.
That's enough to disable the Hobgoblin. He is at 0 hit points.
Really?
Yep, really.
Wow. Okay.
Alright, so it's going to take us to Ferrith, who is going to fire again, hit, and this will drop the Hobgoblin, even 1 damage would, and he rolls 7.
Damn, he's
Right.
really dead.
Okay, so the Hobgoblin is just about dropped, and then another arrow comes in, strikes him in the neck, puts him on the ground. It's going to take us to the Goblin Dog, who realizes now the bad situation he's in. He whimpers and moves 35 feet to the east.
Ooh! A victorious howl from Pae'dor.
Your companion Aelry fires and hits and deals 7 points of damage, dropping the Goblin Dog. All targets have been defeated. I'm unlocking tokens and clearing initiative.
Alright. I'm gonna acrobatics down.
Okay, give me an acrobatics check.
Oh, great. That was a net.
You succeed.
Oh, that's a 7. Sorry,
You
my
slide down the
dyslexic ass.
You're fine. You slide down the trunk, and you are fine. The other two take their time and climb down, and meet you over at the camp.
Pae'dor's kind of hovering over the Hobgoblin. Can I take some of my arrows out of him?
You can try to recover some of them, yes. Make a survival check,
Okay.
and we can try to recover arrows.
That's a 19.
Okay, it's 19. You can recover 5 of them.
Cool.
So from the whole battlefield, you go around and you recover 5 arrows total.
Hooray.
The other hunters do the same, and they end up going through the possessions of the goblins and the hobgoblin.
Okay.
And then Ferrith will look at the hobgoblin and then looks at you and says, well, the bounty says that we need to bring his head back. He takes his dagger out, says, shall I, or would you like to?
Pae'dor takes out their dagger and then gestures to themselves with their hand on their chest.
Ferrith nods with a smile on his face. You feel that he's very proud of you.
Aww, that's a good feeling. Pae'dor's probably got their chest puffed out a bit. They're very proud of themselves, too. Also, they're very irritated that their calf got shot. There's definite side-eye.
Yeah,
Aelry.
Aelry is definitely apologetic if pressed on the matter.
So, if she stays by while Pae'dor is cutting off the head, they'll, glance at her. That hurt.
I'm very sorry that the arrow went wide. I don't know what happened.
Still good shot and strong. Just, hurt, yes.
She nods. I'll try to do better next time.
Pae'dor wipes their hand on their forehead for a second and looks up, proud, and then continues, cutting off the head.
Alright, you lop off the hobgoblin's head with little trouble, and after looting the camp of all of its valuables, Ferrith will toss it all in a sack, and the 3 of you will head back north to the small town of Phyllian. Make a survival check for the way back, please.
Okay. That's a nat 20.
Nat 20. Alright, 27 survival. Cool. On your way back, you find nothing of ill will, and you manage to avoid any sort of hazards. You arrive back at Phyllian, proud of your first successful quest with your friend Ferrith.
Ooh!
Ferrith will howl in the sky with you.
Aw, that probably means a lot to Pae'dor. And then they look over to Aelry, look expectantly.
She kind of just frowns and keeps walking.
Oh. Grumpy one.
All right, so that is going to fade to black.
Okay.
So that is the prelude for Pae'dor.
My baby! Oh my god. Oh my god, that was so fun. I had fun during combat. What is this?
It's D&D. I'm sorry.
What did you put in my water?
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take Pae'dor off the list, and I'm going to jumble up the others. Go ahead and roll 1d4.
A 3.
All right, have ourselves a choice, or we have a selection made now.
I don't have a choice. I just rolled the dice, as it should be in D&D.
All right, you begin. You are annoyed. That is where we start. You have worked for a long time on a very specific purpose, and now here at the very end, right before you got what you wanted, it's snatched out of your hands, and it is annoying. Do you know who you are?
Am I Moo?
You're Moo.
Okay.
All right. You have lived in the city of Mythelion your entire life.
I mean, it would be weird if I didn't.
Exactly. I mean, where else would you live?
Upstairs? No, thank you.
No, thanks. So, the city of Mythelion lies in a massive cavern. On the east side of town is the shores of an enormous subterranean lake, and throughout the city are various things of interest. When you were a child, as most children, you are taken to a place called the Pit. You were taken there by your family multiple times, and you sit in the stands and watch people fight to the death. It's a very popular sport among the people of this city. Now, how you felt about that is entirely up to you, but it was something that the majority of people in this town take great pride and much enthusiasm in watching. The concept of slavery and owning people is something that suffuses the society that you live in, and slaves are seen all over the place, serving in households, performing menial labor, hard work, and any sort of tasks that are deemed unbecoming of a proper dark elf. Now, these slaves are acquired by sending people to the surface and then bringing down the bounties of raids. And you and your family live in an area of town called the Shadow Spires, which is an area sort of in the north central and northeastern part of town. This area of town is sort of what you would consider the up-and-coming part of town. The well-to-do members of the nation live here. And you have been blessedly separated from most things in your society for your entire life. So your family has never really been all that demanding of you or your time. So you've kind of had a fair bit of free time. You've always had sort of a doting mother who cares about you deeply and has kind of given you the freedom and latitude in your life to kind of pursue whatever interest you wanted for yourself, which for you has always been what?
Well, experimentation, discovering anything new, perhaps even discovering things that used to be or from perhaps other places that we don't really know about yet. In general, just experimenting, making new things, not being bothered by other people.
Mm-hmm. So you found yourself studying at the library, the Great Library of Mythelion, in fact, which is located in the center district of town, a place called the Works of the Old One. And while you were studying there and working your way up through the prestige ranks of the library, while you were working there, there was a break-in and a set of tomes that you have wanted to get your hands on for a long time were taken, or they were swiped. And the talk was, after the authorities investigated, was they said that it was a group of surfacers that came down and took those books. So that's what everyone around here blames problems on. You know, if someone's utensil goes missing, they'll blame surfacers for it. It's kind of a running thing in town. But this time, for some reason, they seem to think that that was the legitimate answer.
And, hopefully through Moo's deductive reasoning, that actually might be true. At least that's what I wrote.
Mm-hmm. So the question becomes, what is Moo going to do about it?
Honestly, I don't really anticipate anyone actually getting those back, so I'm going to have to do it myself.
All right. You go to leave town to track down these surfacers, make your way to the surface and get these books back on your own, and you are immediately stopped by the guards. And they say that under no circumstances are they going to allow you by yourself, with no support, to just wander around the Underlands and hope to find something that you'd have no idea where it could have gone. So they immediately tell you no and send you back home. Basically to send you back into the city.
Alright, well that makes my life difficult. Alright, how would I find a way to sneak out then?
Okay, so you are stopped by your sister. Your older sister, who has always been much more outgoing and popular than you in all things. Shocker.
I don't think that's very hard to be more of that than Moo, to be honest.
So she is going to stop you and ask just what exactly you think you're doing. You really think you can just leave the city and not have a real plan of action by yourself?
My plan is to get my books back. I mean, the books back.
Mm-hmm. And you do know how dangerous it is outside the city, right?
I'm fairly capable with my own experimentation.
I've seen your little bombs. I've heard the explosions you've made. But
They're pretty great.
I really don't think that you're going to be capable of handling this on your own. Now, luckily, your awesome big sister has heard something interesting.
Mm.
The library is hiring mercenaries.
Oh, to get those tomes back?
She nods.
Then
If you hurry, you might still catch them.
Moo's already walking past her. Boom! Okay, thank you, bye!
Alright, so you leave your house and you race back to the library.
Running is hard.
And you find some of the librarians are speaking to two people that you've never seen before. I'm going to go ahead and pull their pictures up. All right. You see a pair of Dark Elf mercenaries. The first one is a female who is about the same height as you. She looks significantly older, though. She's probably somewhere in middle age. And she wears a red dress with a leather corset. She has white hair, like all the Dark Elves, aside from you, apparently.
Yeah. Well,
And
accidents happen.
you get the sense that she is a caster of some sort by the fact that she doesn't carry any weaponry. The other person, though, her companion, is a man who is carrying a large sword, one that requires two hands to wield, and he's covered in some light armor. You get the sense that he is angry at everything. He doesn't speak to you, but the other one will. The female introduces herself. Ah, you must be the... what? Are you the servant that the library is sending along with us?
Sir, I was about to volunteer to go with you.
Oh, well, good. It's always better if they're willing.
Not a servant, though.
Of course.
Scientist, more accurately.
Sure. Something like that.
Mm.
So, what is it that you do exactly?
Do you want to see?
She looks you up and down, and her mouth curls into a slight smile. Go ahead.
Where is a safe spot to throw a bomb?
Well, you're in the middle of a city, so there's not really any safe spot nearby. Creating an explosion out here would definitely draw some interest from the guards.
I guess... Do any of our books have descriptions on what people from upstairs look like?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna take out a book and read a description, and then use Disguise Self.
Okay.
Well, I'm very efficient at hiding in plain sight. And Moo will use Disguise Self to look like a human.
Alright, you drink your disguise self potion. Yeah, you can change your height to 1 foot up or down, become thin, fat, or anywhere in between.
Yeah, I'm gonna go a foot down.
Okay, you shrink a foot, and your skin turns like a pinkish tan color. The disgusting skin tones of the surfacers that live above your fine city of Mythilion.
And honestly, I can make explosions too, but it's not really safe to do right here, and I'd say, come to my lab, but I actually don't want you in my lab. Smile.
What do you think, Sylvek? Do you think she could be useful? Sylvek is standing there with his sword planted in the ground. He looks at his companion and looks back at you, and he just grunts. He's like, eloquent as always.
I like him. He speaks my
My name is... I'm Zyda.
Oh, that's cool.
This is Sylvek.
Mm-hmm.
And you are...
My name is Mur'ca'lu'mi.
She sighs. What?
My name is...
Could you speak up a little bit? You're really not projecting when you speak. You should project when you speak so that others can hear you. It's rude otherwise.
My name is Mur'ca'lu'mi, but people call me Moo.
Very well, Moo. Good to meet you. Now, if we're heading to the surface, it's customary that we bring along a guide. So, come along.
Oh, okay.
She leads the group south, down past the works of the Old One, past the pit, and into the slave hold. There she goes to some of the slave auction markets, and she speaks to some people. Some coin is traded, and she eventually walks up to one of the pens and starts talking to some of the caretakers there, and she eventually settles on purchase. She grabs a pink-skinned man, or rather has him grabbed and removed from the pit. He is brought before the three of you and forced down onto his knees.
Is that really necessary?
Of course it's necessary.
Alright.
If we don't treat them like this, then they get the wrong idea.
Well, I
She
find
looks at-
subjects to be far more easier to deal with if they're willing.
So she looks at this person who's like being forced down onto his knees. She says, I am Zyda. I am your new master. Do you understand? The man nods. You are simply known as slave. Do you understand? He nods and says nothing. Good. So he's a human in his early 20s. He has short, dark hair. A little bit of stubble has grown because he hasn't had access to a razor in a little while, but at the same time, it's not really growing in all that well at all. He has a thin build, and if you tried to gauge his skills based on his looks, you would imagine that he is probably someone who favors dexterity over strength.
Well, we already have someone who's good at strength, so that's not a big deal.
So at this point, Zyda is going to explain to Slave that you are heading to the surface, and that this is, in fact, the luckiest day of your life. You guide us to the surface and get us to where we need to go, and you'll get to go free. Fail in any way, and she will take a long time to kill you. The slave nods in understanding, and she says, good. Now that that's settled, shall we be off?
Yes, the closer we get to my books, the better.
Those are the library's books, and they'll be brought back to fulfill our contract.
Right, but, I worked at the library, so they're kind of like mine.
Tell you what, if you behave, and if you're useful, you can read them before we bring them back.
Okay.
Good. Now, come along.
There's
She turns...
still quiet, heavy breathing from Moo. Just to be able to touch them would be great, but this is even better.
So she leads the four of you north out of the city and out into the wider cavernous underlands. All right. So as soon as you get outside the city, she puts the slave out in front and has him take point. So the slave is unarmed and he's put in front to sort of set off any traps or get attacked by any ambushing creatures. Because, he's the most disposable.
Squish.
All right.
So are we officially upstairs?
Oh, gosh, no.
Okay.
No, there's a long way to go.
Okay.
So, as you guys travel, you go from cavern to cavern and connecting passage to connecting passage. There's bridges, there's chasms, there's underground waterfalls, there's forests of glowing mushrooms. It is a crazy journey that continues for a while. And eventually you come to a large cavern. Zyda commands the slave to take point again, and he starts moving forward. So you move about halfway across this large open expanse when you suddenly feel something's off. Make a perception check, please.
Oh boy, do I want to do that as Moo.
That's a nat 1.
Of course it is. Ah! 9. A 9 in total. This is great.
Okay.
First day out and about.
First day out and about. Something very bad's about to happen. Okay, so what happens is as you are walking along, you feel the ground begin to shake slightly. Like there's a tremor moving through the ground. And you felt earthquakes before, but this is much smaller and more localized. And before you know what actually happens, something is going to burst forth from the ground and move to attack you.
Great.
What it looks like is an enormous burrowing insect that's sort of the combination between a centipede and a praying mantis. And it's very big.
I hate this.
So this creature is going to burst forth from the ground, and what's going to happen is that the slave, he succeeded on his check, so what he is going to do is he's going to rush over next to you, and he is going to push you out of the way. So he pushes you back 5 feet down to the right as the creature moves down and attacks. So I'm going to roll initiatives. Go. All right, Ankeg is going to get a single attack first, and it's going to try to make a bite attack at the slave. All right, it bites the slave and does a fair amount of damage to him.
Oof. Oh no.
Which takes us to Sylvek's turn. All right, so the Dark Elf is going to raise up his greatsword, and he is going to attempt to rage. He's going to rage on himself. 5-foot step over, and he is going to attack. He's actually going to make a power attack against the Ankh. Okay, he strikes it, deals 19 points of damage to it, putting a huge gash into it. The slave, being unarmed, is simply going to take a 5-foot step, and you get the sense that he's also still trying to shield you. All right, Zyda's up, and what she is going to do is she is going to cast a spell on it. She is going to fire a magic missile at the Ankeg and deal 8 points of damage to it. So she actually raises her hand and fires 2 bolts of purple energy, striking the Ankeg. And the Ankeg is going to then turn and attack the barbarian, Sylvek, strike him, and deal 10 points of damage, wounding him and attempting to grab him as well. It's going to be unable to grab him. That takes us to your turn, Moo.
Can I hit it with a bomb?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do. That is a 9.
Yep. Luckily, touch attacks are real easy to make, and he's real big. So it hits.
Cool.
Okay, so it's going to do 1d6 plus 4 fire damage. You do 6 points of damage, killing the Ankeg.
I told you I was useful. Moo just raises their arms.
Sylvek is going to kind of turn to you and grunt.
Mm-hmm.
And he kind of like sort of works himself down from his rage. Zaida's going to walk over and say, well, that was certainly something. And you, she looks at the slave, it's a good thing you damaged yourself for a dark elf.
It was actually very nice. Thank you.
The slave says nothing.
Alright, well, that goes me trying to interact with people.
So, the four of you continue on until eventually time passes and it is time to rest.
I never thought going upstairs would take so long.
Yes, the journey can take quite some time. We should get there tomorrow, though.
That'll be nice.
Now, how shall we handle watch?
A what?
We can't all sleep at the same time, not with a slave. One of us needs to stay awake.
Alright, I'll stay awake.
Very well. You'll take first watch. In 3 hours, wake me, and then in 3 hours, I'll wake him.
Alright.
She points to Solbeck. And you, slave, no funny business. The slave nods. She finds a dark corner, and she sits down and begins to meditate. Sylvek does the same. The slave is kind of sitting there. And since drow don't really need to build a fire for sight, it's pretty hard for him to see anything. So he's just kind of sitting there, kind of looking off into the darkness.
So are the other two already in their meditation?
If you want to give it some time for them to kind of drift off. The slave is just sitting there, like, holding his knees. He's not trying to sleep yet.
Moo's just kind of waiting.
See, the slave kind of looks over at your direction, but you get a sense that he can't quite see you that well, because his eyes don't work the same as yours in the dark. But he's kind of looking over in your direction.
A more nervous humming. What language do you even speak? Can you understand me like this?
He gives a sort of a little sideways kind of nod.
Alright, Moo looks at the others. You know, they're asleep if you want to talk or something.
He speaks in what would be a heavily accented and broken Dark Elvish, or Broken Elvish, because it's kind of the same language.
Okay.
And he says, you seem different than them.
Oh, yeah, they're a little rude. I don't really know what's up with them. Sorry. Did you mean them as in the people we're traveling with, or as in most of the people you've come across? Because that's also a very valid explanation.
He thinks on it for a second, and then just responds, yes.
I'll take the deduction. So, where did you come from? You came from upstairs, right?
He nods.
Okay.
Taken, village attack.
Oh, that
family
stinks.
killed.
Oh, that really stinks. I'm so sorry.
He kind of looks at you like, trying to figure out if you're real or not.
I
didn't know your kind could feel sorry.
Oh, well, I mean, I'm pretty sure we can. I mean, not that I actually talk to most of the people that I actually have to deal with. I mostly just kind of exist in the same space and then hope I'm alone soon. I'm not really good with, people.
Do you think they'll really let me go?
No. Not really.
He looks sad.
Well, if you want, maybe I could vouch for, I mean, I don't actually think they'll let you go, but maybe I could keep you or something. I think that's pretty normal around here, I think. I've never kept someone before, but, you know, maybe you'd be safe? I don't know.
I think I would rather be free.
Yeah. I don't have a lot to say here, so... Well, I'll try to vouch for you, but, can't make any promises, so... Oh well.
Thank you, all the same, then.
You're welcome. Slave? No offense, but a lot of your kind seem to be named Slave, and I find it a very inconvenient name, because there's so many of you.
I have a name, but
Oh, what's your name?
I'm forbidden from saying it.
Oh, that's too bad.
The masters at the slave holds, they One of the first things they do is beat our names out of us.
Oh, that sounds complex. And painful.
He nods.
Well, I'm Moo.
Thank you for your kindness, Moo.
Oh, I'm just being me. I don't know if I'm actually being kind. Most of the time people say I'm being a nuisance, so, oh well.
He nods and then kind of starts to stretch out and maybe try to get some sleep.
Good night, slave.
Good night, Moo. Right. So some time passes, and eventually I guess you tap Zyda to take the next watch?
Yep. Hey.
Alright.
Hey.
What? What is it?
It's your turn.
Already?
I know. It's awful.
Fine.
If you want, I can do it a little bit longer.
Shh, just quiet down and go meditate, alright?
Okay.
She sits up and looks around the cavern. Okay. So the next day, you're walking along, and they have Slave scouting again. I'd like you to make a perception check.
Oh boy. Do I love doing that after I got a nat 1. That's an 11.
11's good enough. Was it just a DC 10, so you're fine. You hear Sylvek and Zyda speaking in hushed tones with each other. That way the slave can't overhear them.
Okay.
They're talking about exactly what they're going to do with the slave once their mission's complete. Zyda's talking about burning him alive. Sylvek's talking about using his two-handed sword to try to cut off all 4 of his limbs with one swing.
Jesus Christ. Oh no. Oh no. That's so sad. Oh. Moo kind of makes it obvious that they turn their head.
Did you hear them?
Yeah, they do this on purpose.
Zyda looks over to you. And what would you do, little pet? Would you strap a bomb to him?
Actually, I would prefer to keep him for experiments.
Even more devious. What sort of experiments would you perform on this hapless fool?
Testing potions and such, and seeing how sort of reactions react differently from a dark elf to, a pink thingy. Human.
A bit less dramatic.
Yes, but it's actually quite useful for learning stuff about us so that we can benefit from my experiments. That's usually what I end up doing. It's just I don't actually have any help. It's just me.
I suppose you could always go back to the slave markets when you return and buy a new one.
Oh, why can't I have this one?
I don't know. I don't like the way he looks.
Well, if he's in my, lab, you'll never see him.
Make a diplomacy check.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
To try to convince Zyda.
With my 1 charisma?
Yeah.
10.
No, I think he'd be better for target practice. Tell you what, with the cut you get from helping us, you can buy probably 1 or 2 more weak ones at least from the slave markets, and you can use those for your experiments.
But, experiments are just so much easier when it comes to a willing slave, And this one, he pushed me out of the way. The more willing they are to do such things, the easier they are to swallow strange liquids.
Alright, give me another diplomacy check, and this time give yourself a +2.
Moo is trying so fucking hard right now. It's so funny.
No, I think I'd rather kill this one myself.
Okay.
Well, let's hurry up. We don't want him to get too far ahead.
Right. Moo just starts to bite at their fingernails.
Alright, so, you travel through more caves, cross more chasms, rope bridges, various things, until eventually you come to an area that... Give me a perception check.
Oh god, I don't know if I like rolling as Moo.
You smell water up ahead.
With a 14?
Yep, you smell water up ahead, and the area itself sort of feels different somehow.
There's some liquids up ahead, I think.
Yes, we must be getting close now. The whole place reeks of the surface.
Is it getting any lighter down there?
No, it's I mean, there's some light in different places from bioluminescent fungus, and there appears to be some sort of bioluminescent plankton or algae in the water, because the water also has a soft green glow to it up ahead. So you arrive at this place, and the slave turns around and gestures to some tracks on the ground, ones that he's been sort of following here and there as you've gone. Zyda looks at them, says, yes, they've come through here. The same marks they left back in the library.
Interesting.
She points out that the footprints they're leaving are ashy. They're leaving ash behind when they walk.
That's really weird. Would I be able to make some sort of check to know why something would leave ashy footprints?
If you wanted to make like a knowledge engineering, knowledge religion, or survival.
I guess I'll do survival. Oh, that's a 22.
Okay. You know that it means that these people must have walked through something that was made of ashes, or rather, they walked through ashes on the ground at some point, and they've been leaving trace amounts of it behind as they've walked.
That's peculiar.
It is peculiar, especially since you'd figure it would have worn off their boots by this point, but they've been leaving a semi-steady trail of it since they started.
I mean, not that I know much, but wouldn't it be weird to leave behind footprints like this constantly without it being on purpose?
Yes. Makes me think that we're being led into a trap, honestly, but, well, that's why we brought him along. She points to the slave. If there was going to be a trap, I'd prefer that one to set it off. The slave says nothing in response. Now, this elevation, they call this whole region the Shallows. I don't like it. It smells too much of the surface. The ground here is more dirt than rock. It smells of filth. So, slave, move ahead. He follows the instructions and starts to move forward. Sylvek's about 2 steps behind. All right, do you follow Zyda?
Yeah, might as well.
Oh, okay. All right, so the 4 of you are traveling down, and it looks like you're going to need to head through this river. There's sort of an underground river moving through the area. You're going to have to cross here, and then it looks like the tunnel to the surface is just beyond that.
Ooh.
You're not sure, but you think you see light coming from that tunnel. And the air here is very strange to you. It smells like vegetables almost. Like there's something heavy in the air.
Weird. Is this how it's supposed to smell? Is this how it's supposed to taste?
Yes, and it's horrible. It's even worse when we get all the way up there.
Maybe I could test the components in the dirt here and see what causes such a difference in flavor.
I can already tell you without you having to do anything with your tools. It's excrement. The entire surface world is made of it. Can you imagine?
Wait, like...
Their defecation is everywhere. It's filth. It's disgusting.
How are there enough beings on that up there to even be just covered in filth? That doesn't actually make sense, particularly.
Ask them when you get there, I guess. The whole thing is filthy to me.
Okay.
So the slave moves forward and stops at the edge of the water. Put everybody up so you're 2 paces behind each other. And he stops and looks around and holds up a hand as if he's noticed something. Zyda whispers forward, What is it? What do you see? The slave points to the far shore. Make a perception check, please.
Okay. We're so good at that. So good. So... 11.
Okay. So with the slave's assistance pointing out the far side of the bank, you also notice what he's pointing at. There appears to be a large number of small creatures standing on the far bank. You're not sure exactly what they are, but they are small, as in size category small.
Yeah.
They're scaly, and they're carrying around spears, and they look somewhat ferocious.
Oh.
It appears that they're lying in wait.
Are they waiting for us?
Ugh. Trash. Garbage. Creatures that sit in the shallows. They don't even have the decency to live deep enough where it's nice. They live up here, straddling the surface world and ours.
I don't know if that's a good enough use of the word straddle, to be honest.
She looks at you and raises an eyebrow. Oh? And do you have the intent to show me a better use of the phrase?
Oh, no, just reading properly. I don't think straddle is actually used properly in that term. I think it's more for when someone's on top of another person. At least that's what I read.
She looks bored by your answer.
Perhaps I need to read more.
Something like that. How far can you throw those bombs?
I can throw them far enough. The easiest it is if it's like around like, from like you to me. That's like the easiest way I can hit something.
Well, that's not exactly useful. I'm going to need you to throw some of your bombs over into that ridge.
Oh, can I get a little bit closer?
Sure, but maybe don't let them see you.
Okay. Oh, God. Oh, no. Okay, how close could I get without them noticing me?
That's up to a stealth check.
It sure is. Do I even have stealth? I don't really. Do you still want me to roll stealth?
Yeah, if you're going to try to sneak up, yeah, you're going to need to roll stealth.
Okay. Oh.
All right.
That's a 4.
Okay, so you're going to move up. Where did you want to try to move up to?
I was gonna try to move up behind this rock over here.
Okay. In that case, your first step into the water, you misjudge the depth, and instead of lightly stepping into it, you kind of almost fall halfway into the water and make like a loud sploosh noise. All right. At that, you hear cries of alarm on the other side of the riverbank, and I'm going to go ahead and roll initiative. Now, luckily, you won initiative. You got a 21 on your initiative check.
That's great.
So you get to go first.
Well, I'll try to move 30 feet ahead.
Okay. You move forward 30 feet across shallow water. And what would you like to do then?
Well, other than muttering, I'm so sorry, oh god, I'm so sorry. I'm gonna try to throw a bomb.
Okay. At what target?
I was kind of hoping to get Kobold 2 and Kobold 1.
Okay. So Kobold 2, that's 40 feet away.
Yeah.
So, okay, that's going to be a -6 to your attack.
Jesus Christ! Okay. Well, let's try it.
Yeah, so it'd be -6. Okay, you roll a nat 1. So I'd like you to roll to confirm that.
Okay.
Let's see if you blow yourself up. Alright, you do not confirm your critical miss. So what's going to happen is, since you still threw a bomb, it still has to go somewhere. So I'm going to roll a scatter on this one, and we're going to see where it ends up. Okay, so instead of landing on Kobold number 2, it's going to land north of Kobold number 2. So you overshot it, you threw it too hard, and it's going to land north of him, which I'll go ahead and put a box down where that lands.
Yeah.
Boom. So it lands right there.
Okay.
And the splash damage is going to hit Kobold 1 and 2. So they're going to get a save versus that splash. And your bombs are going to have a reflex DC of 14. So I'd like you to target both Kobold 1 and Kobold 2, and then make them roll a reflex save.
Like that?
They both fail.
Okay.
The target that's directly on the bomb takes the full bomb damage.
Okay.
Everyone not on that point takes the minimum damage.
So 5?
So 5.
Okay.
Correct. So each of them take 5 points of damage, which is enough to disable both of them, because they have 5 hit points.
Okay.
And that is going to be your turn.
I did it, kind of.
You look a little bit proud. So the slave, he has no weapons, but what he's going to do is he's going to pick up a rock, and he is going to double move, kind of stand in front of you. Sylvek's up. He is going to charge across the river, with his sword out. That's going to take us to the kobolds. All right, Kobold 1 is going to fire a sling at Slave. He's going to hit and deal 1 damage to the slave, and deal 1 damage to himself in the process, dropping himself, because he's disabled.
Yeah.
Kobold 2 will do the exact same thing, firing at Slave, this time missing, and doing a damage to himself. Kobold 3, and the rest of them, they're just territorial. So they're going to start moving around, double move toward you guys, and then shoot a sling at Sylvek, fires a stone, strikes him, and deals 1 point of damage. And the last one is going to double move with a spear, and he's going to try to stab Sylvek with a spear. That is going to miss. Fuck, is that an 8th one? I'm sorry. Keep miscounting these guys.
Oh, God.
All right. He cannot reach, so he's going to move up 20 feet and then shoot a sling at Sylvek. Missing. Zyda's up. End of the initiative order, Zyda moves up 30 feet. She's going to cast Magic Missile on Kobold 7. Deals 5 damage to him, disabling him. All right, Moo, you're up.
It's my turn. If I stand right behind Sylvek, would I be able to get a normal hit on Kobold 8 for my bomb?
So anything within 20 feet, you take no penalty.
Cool.
Anything 25 to 40 feet, you take a -2.
Alright, awesome. So I'll hit Kobold 8 then.
So I'd like you to make a bomb range touch attack against Kobold number 8.
Ooh, that's an 11.
That's going to miss, so we're going to roll the splash. It looks like it's actually going to shift in probably the worst possible direction.
Oh,
it's
God.
Going to shift.
Oh,
it's
no.
going to shift down and to the right, which means it's going to hit Sylvek and Kobold 8. So I'd like you to make Sylvek and Kobold 8 make a reflex save. Okay, the Kobold succeeds and Sylvek fails.
That's great.
So Sylvek's going to take 5 points of damage.
Mm-hmm.
So he is now heavily wounded. And Kobold 8 is going to take half minimum damage, which is going to be 2. So Kobold 8 takes 2 points of damage, Sylvek takes 5, and that is your turn.
I am so sorry.
That could have gone so well. You could have killed 4 kobolds right there.
No, I'm sad.
Alright, so the slave is going to move up, and he is going to attempt to bash in Kobold 7's head with a rock.
Oh, delightful.
Alright, here we go. Nat 20.
Wow.
Does it confirm? It do!
Nice!
Alright, so he's going to come in here with a bludgeoning weapon, and he is going to, hey, to your thinky bits is the name of the crit. Alright, double damage and 1 intelligence bleed. So since the guy was already at, 1 hit point, he's pretty much just going to explode. So I'm going to go ahead and roll 2d4, kablam. He does 4 damage to the kobold 7, which is going to kill it.
Wow.
There we go. Kobold 7 is down.
Impressive.
Alright, that's going to take us to Sylvek. Sylvek is angry. In fact, he is going to go ahead and rage.
I'm so sorry.
Here is his Barbarian Rage. Boom. And he is going to 5-foot step forward. He is going to attempt to... We'll say he's going to cleave. So we're going to give him Cleave Attack against Kobold 8 and Kobold 4. Damn. Okay. So he crits Kobold 8 and hits Kobold 4.
Jesus Christ!
Hits for 25. So he comes in with his two-handed sword and he hits the first kobold that literally blows apart. Okay? Shatters his body into multiple pieces. And then his attack hits Kobold 4 for 15 damage, killing him. He's got, foam coming out of his mouth. He's real angry looking.
Is
All right.
this normal?
You hear Zyda, scoff. Oh, for him, I'm surprised that he hasn't done this already. Kobold 3, then, is going to move up 15 feet on the right side, and he is going to fire his slings at Sylvek. That is going to hit, and he deals 1 damage to Sylvek. Kobold 4 is down. Kobold 5 is going to 5-foot forward, and he's going to go after Sylvek with a spear, and that is going to miss. And Kobold number 6 is going to move up 10 feet and try to do the same thing with a spear against Sylvek, and also miss. All right, 7 is down, and 8 is down. Zyda's up. Zyda's going to move forward 30 feet, and, well, she probably would like to cast a different spell, but sadly there's just nothing else she can do aside from Magic Missile. So she's going to fire a Magic Missile at Kobold 4 and do 6 points of damage to Kobold 4. Sorry, that's Kobold 6, rather. My bad. Kobold 4 was already down. Does 6 damage to 6, dropping him.
Wow.
There we go. All right, that takes us back to Moo. Moo, it appears that there are only 2 kobolds left. Kobold 3 and 5. 5 is right in front of Sylvek, and 3 is standing 10 feet behind that.
Okay.
One's with a spear, the other has a sling.
You know what? I'll go on top of where Kobold 7 is and try to hit it with my spear.
Okay. You move up 10 feet, and you're standing next to now Kobold 5 next to Sylvek.
Alright. Let's try using an actual weapon.
And that's going to miss. Alright. You clumsily swing your spear, and you don't hit anything. Okay. Slave is unable to get past you, so he is just going to try to throw the stone that he's carrying. It goes wide, clatters to the ground. Sylvek's up. First thing he's going to do is continue his rage, and he is going to attack with a greatsword against Kobold 5. He rolls a 4 and misses. His Kobold 3 is up. He's going to shoot his sling at Sylvek and miss. Kobold 5 is going to try to stab at Sylvek and miss. All right. That's going to take us back around to Zyda.
Well, I don't feel too bad, at least.
Yeah. So Zyda is going to move up 10 feet, stand behind Sylvek, and she's going to lob another magic missile, which so this will be her third one. Kobold 5, dropping him. All right, Moo, you're up. There's one target left.
All right, I'm going to move up 15 feet.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to lob another little bomb at this kobold. Yay!
All right, that's a ranged touch.
Yeah. That's an 8.
You cannot hit these. All right. Let's see where it goes. All right, goes down and to the right.
I'm going to kill my teammates!
Go ahead and make a reflex save for Kobold 3. All right, that's going to fail. Kobold 3 is going to take 5 points of damage, which is going to put him into the disabled status. All right, and Slave is going to move up, and he's going to move up to 20 feet, and he's going to try to punch Kobold. Nat 20.
Jesus.
19 to confirm. All right.
Jesus.
It's going to be double damage there.
I think he's dead.
All right, he does 6 points of damage with his fist and kills Kobold 3. All right, it's going to unlock tokens and clear initiatives. There we go. Slave has his hands on his knees and he's panting. Sylvek sticks his sword in the ground, and you can see he's centering himself again. Meanwhile, Zyda just walks around, walks to each kobold, takes out a dagger, and slits each one's throat with a smile on her face.
If you want, Sylvek, I can heal you a little bit.
He grunts at you. You're not sure if he's saying yes or no.
I'm gonna take it as a yes.
You roll minimum healing and do 2 hit points back to Sylvek.
Yep, sure do.
All right. Sylvek grunts at you again. I think he's thanking you.
You're welcome.
All right, so the four of you continue up the passage, and now you no longer think that your mind's playing tricks on you. You're definitely sure that there's light coming in from the far end of this tunnel, and it's weird. It's so bright.
Can I put my goggles on?
You can, yeah. So the four of you head outside for the first time. I should say you head outside for the first time. And what you're greeted with is what appears to be the biggest room you've ever seen in your life.
Wow.
It's so big you can't even see the ceiling. This cavernous space is so large that there are clouds in here.
That's adorable.
And you've seen clouds before because you've blown things up and created haze and fog in your lab before. But these things are massive, and they're just floating up there in this space above the ground. You don't see a ceiling above that, but it's this weird kind of orange color, and there's this massive ball of fire on the horizon. It's painful to look at.
Oh, God.
Oh, good. At least we got here at sunset.
How are you guys doing without goggles?
Not well, to be honest. You can see Zaida has an arm up, kind of shielding her eyes, and Sylvek's just squinting heavily. Meanwhile, Slave, for the first time, he's like looking at the guy, and you can see tears on his face. You get the sense that he thought he would never see this again. Well, good. We'll travel during the night. It'll be easier for us that way. Slave, which way do you think they went? Slave looks around, finds a footprint, and points in a direction. Good, then let's be off. Unless there's any objections, she looks to Sylvek and Moo.
Moo shrugs.
All right, onward then.
Yeah, onward home.
All right, the four of you trek on, and we fade to black.
All right.
That was Moo's intro.
That was Moo's intro. Poor Slave.
Thanks for listening to Snake Eyes. As always, special thanks to William Succi for the intro and outro themes, and Emily Rolled for Fantasy for this episode soundtrack. Interested in following us on social media? Follow us on Twitter at CheckPleaseDND. Or, want to support the podcast and be part of the Czech Republic? Go to our Patreon under the Czech Republic. Until next time!